guys, how are you? This is Allie with Teaneck Creek Conservancy. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make coasters out of old plastic bags that you don't want anymore. I'm sure everyone has a closet full of these bags. Even if you use reusable, somehow plastic bags always seem to come into our life. So today we're going to work on giving them a new life. So the first step is we're going to take our bag and we are going to snip off the bottom. Okay? Perfect. Then we're going to take our bag and we're just going to open it all the way up so that the inner folds are out and it's as large as it could be. Okay. So we'll lay this down right here on our board. You don't have to worry about cutting off the tops of the bag. We're going to cut that off later when we're making our little coasters. So you're going to do this for a couple different bags. I prepped several of them, so I did 5 of them in total. You can make the coasters really almost any thickness. I've done them with as few as 3, and it comes out kind of like this, a little bit more flimsy, or this one is 6, a little sturdier. So you decide how many plastic bags you want. This time I'm going to be doing 5. So once you have all your plastic bags prepared, you're going to take some parchment paper. I've pre-cut this, lay it down on your board, and you're going to arrange your bags on top of it. So you want to make sure that the part that is over top of the parchment is the area you want to use. So the handles can dangle off the side. That is totally cool. Let me get my other bags. Yay. Perfect. And I actually even decorated one of my bags with markers. I don't know how well you can see it. A couple hearts and things. I just kind of want to see how that comes through on my coasters. I'm actually going to put a different one on top because I don't really want that marker directly against my iron. So, okay, perfect. Now I'm going to take a second piece of parchment. I'm going to put that on top too. Okay, now the fun part. So we're going to take our iron and we're going to put it on a medium setting. So my iron doesn't have a medium. It has different varieties. So mine is equivalent to the wool setting, okay, for any of those with irons like mine. And we're going to go over top of our parchment paper, and you want to kind of move your iron constantly. You don't want to let it sit still in any area because it could make holes in your plastic. So what's happening right now is our plastic is melting together. Let me just do it. There we go. So that stops bumping. Okay. And just keep moving it. Trying to make sure your plastic bags underneath stay nice and flat. You don't want them moving around too much. So it will probably take about 30 seconds or more for them to melt. It's not an exact science, and we can check them to make sure that it's fully melted. Okay, so let's peek at them. They may need a little bit more, but we'll check them out. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so you can see that some of in the middle, mostly my bags are sticking together. The edges are still a little loose. So I'm going to flip them over. Okay. And I'm going to go over them on the other side. Okay. For me, it's easier if I have the cord over my shoulder because otherwise it bumps into my parchment and it moves it around, and I don't really want it shifting around. It's staying as still as possible so that I don't end up with different lumps in my coasters. I'm sure you guys are aware, but the reason why we don't want to put the iron directly on the plastic bag is obviously because then we might end up with melted plastic on our ironing board, on our iron. That would really, that would make a messy cleanup. That wouldn't be fun. On this side. And again, you don't have to do this necessarily just with plastic bags. You could also use other bags that you have in your house. For example, if you get some pre-prepared foods, sometimes like cookie batter, for example, or whatever, comes in like one of those clear plastics. Those would also melt and make perfectly fine coasters if you had enough of them. A lot of those plastics just aren't recyclable, so maybe an interesting way to kind of revitalize those. Okay, so let's check back again. See how we're looking. Beautiful, okay. So now, I'm gonna hold it up. You can kind of see the edges are still loose, but that's fine. I'm not aiming for the edges. You can actually see my parchment still on this one. The edges aren't being ironed, so that is perfectly fine. Okay, great. So now, what I'm gonna do next is I'm going to take, actually I'm gonna use a mason jar lid. You could use any sort of circular object. You could use the cup that you actually wanna sit the coasters on in order to make sure it's the right size. I've found that my mason jar is actually the same size as the top of my pint glass, which is what I would prefer to use my coasters for. So, and this is ideal because I don't want to get Sharpie on my pint glass. That wouldn't be ideal. So okay, so now you can fit several of the patterns onto here, and you're just going to trace it with your Sharpie right directly on top, and this is going to be the line that we're going to cut out in order to make our coasters. Okay. And do one more. So I got 5 out of mine. I could have potentially done 6, but I felt like this top was a little bit loose. Didn't want to cut that, so. Okay. So, now we cut them out. Okay, here we go. So this is my finished coaster. I'll cut the rest of these out later. Here we go. But now I can use it, put my cups on it. Perfect. Yeah. So I would love to see if you guys make some, that'd be cool. I did mine in brown. I also earlier did a couple of them in white. It's really interesting to try to see what patterns you can overlay that are just naturally on the bags. Let me get a little closer so you can see these a little better. So this one was a bag actually from a farmer's market, so you can kind of see that. This one I did several different bags, so on this side you can kind of see the thank you and that. So yeah, perfect. Hope you guys have fun and share with us when you make them. Thanks guys.